I'm Tim Holtz. I am the designer for Eclectic Elements, a fabric that is sold through Quilt. I have to, of course, first really acknowledge Joyce. Joyce is the one that really shared my vision, my background. I am from the papercraft industry. I still design in that industry. I've been in that industry for 11 years. Design everything from scrapbook paper to tools to embellishments, all of that, with a vintage vibe. And when I was approached by Joyce, and she's like, you know, your stuff would look great as fabric. I'm like, yeah, but I've never seen anything quite like it. And she's like, that would be the great thing of it. And I said, well, I don't know if you can even do anything like that. And so she came out to Arizona, and I think our meeting was not even 30 minutes. I think it was on
He just went out that door to find you. They're telling you
So our meeting in Arizona, I don't even think our meeting was a half an hour. She came in, she sat down, I showed her the paper, she's like, yep, we've got that. I'm like, you can do that. She's like, yep, no doubt. And so I think really without the support of that vision, Eclectic Elements would have never, I think, even seen the light of day. We went through a lot to bring this fabric, and I couldn't be happier as, you know, certainly not being a sewer or quilter. I don't pretend to be. I can sew, but it's usually like step on the gas and go for it, but I like that. But it's really surrounding myself with very talented people who love to sew. And it was very interesting when we announced the launch of the fabric, how many paper crafters from my world were quilters. It's like this whole underground thing. One of them, I love her, she's wonderful. My product manager, Michelle, and I'll talk a little bit about her ideas, really came to the forefront. She's like, I love to sew, I've been a quilter. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I've known you for years, I never knew that about you. And I think that's the best thing of this creative industry, is that you just never know what is going to inspire your customer, what is going to engage them. And I think that our creative industry as a whole, again, especially being in the scrapbook world, has evolved from, you know, this stereotypical, you know, I'm a quilter, I sew, I'm a card maker, to really, they're DIYers. They're going on Pinterest, they're going to all these places, and they're finding inspiration, and they want to do something for themselves, they want to do stuff for gifts. And I think the whole appeal of Eclectic Elements is it definitely has that vintage vibe. There's very recognizable elements in there, but also for even a younger demographic, it's very edgy and very cool and very urban. And I think that that is the draw of this. And you know, when we launched at Spring Quilt Market, was it last year? I'm not gonna lie, nervous wreck. I was a fish out of water. I was standing there, I'm like, and so many people walk by, they're like, that's different. Wow, that's different. And I said to Joyce, I'm like, are they saying like different in a good way or different in an odd way? She's like, they'll get it. Just give it time, they'll get it. And I think for those of you who have brought Eclectic Elements in your store, hopefully your customers get it. They're engaged by it because it is different, but it has this mix. I kind of describe this whole collection as perfectly imperfect. So the fabric themselves, I'm certainly not traditional when it comes to colorways and things like that. I have a lot to learn, but at the same time, I don't really want to follow that path. There are things that I think deem themselves worthy of being in different colors and different palettes, and we do have some exciting new colorways that we're launching at this market. But at the same time, I like the fact that these kind of crazy patterns and colors and objects really still lend themselves to make amazing art. Everything from your traditional quilt to pillows and home decor and wearables and pillows and all of those different things, and I think that that's what makes it really fun. If you come by the booth, we have a whole new brochure that has all of these great kind of staged glamour shots, if you will, of how you can see and how your customers can see these products and projects in their everyday living. And I think that that just goes to show the overall appeal of this brand. I mean, whether you want to make something small or something catchy, or again, even from the papercraft realm, there's so many people that love that bit of textile and fabric into that. Before I designed in the papercraft industry, I worked at a Ben Franklin Crafts. I worked at Ben Franklin for 7 years, so I know all about the independent market, but I also know what it's like to be next to big box markets. And for me, it was really important for our store to thrive is to not set our thinking based off what someone else is doing. And it was about just doing your thing, because, you know, we always talked about bringing in product and, ooh, what are they having and what do they have? I just believe that, your customers want what they want, whether they see it, whether they're inspired by it, and if you don't have it, it's not that they're not going to buy it, they're just going to have to go somewhere else to get it. So I think that this is definitely very different, and it's super interesting to try it. And if you haven't tried it, just to see if your customers like it, because I think that what we found, and obviously continuing to launch these designs, that they do in fact like it. They're intrigued by it from every type of generation. And these pieces that go together, I mean, obviously the quilts that I choose for the booth, they're odd. I know that, but I like that because, to me, I get that. But I'm continuously in awe by people that do sew and quilt, because I think you have to figure it out. My kind of art, just anything goes, and whatever I want to do, I'm like, oh, that's art. I did it. It's great. But I think when you sew or quilt, you do have some rules, some parameters, and there's some flexibility I've learned. But at the same time, it's a beautiful puzzle how it just all goes together and creates some amazing things. So what we did do is, of course, brought a lot of different samples up here, and so after I'm done talking, you're welcome to come up and take a look at it. I want to talk about a few pieces in particular, but I did want to just bring some images here just to show that the samples that you'll see in our booth, we're booth 1400, right when you walk down, we have primary estate. Don't know how that happened. Luck of the draw. But it is nice to kind of see those things and see how all of this goes together. So some of the projects. Well, of course, the projects, like I said, it ranges everything from quilts to even some wearable things. We even, upholster a vintage chair in the booth, which is cool. And for me, like I said, I have a lot to learn about, upholstery with fabric and this and that. But the fabric's been out for since the last spring market, and people are using it for so many different things beyond my wildest imagination, and I'm just in awe by the sheer talent. This is a pillow that Rochelle did using some of the new colorways. I couldn't do this in a million years, but I appreciate the work that went into it. It's absolutely amazing, and you probably wouldn't think that these prints or these colors would go together, yet when you see it, like I said, it's perfectly imperfect. The fact that this is a very ephemera themed, I'm certainly inspired by vintage elements. You'll see bottle caps and rulers and subway signs and all of that. But still, they can go together to create something, what I think is very magical from a creative standpoint. Because I think that people that are doing this, a lot of people that are kind of old school, done it forever, looking for something new, but also that new generation that wants something that's a little bit edgy, are very intrigued by this. I mean, I'm intrigued, and I was telling Michelle, I'm going to learn to sew. I probably will never make this, but I'm going to learn some of the rules, because this does intrigue me to create something like this. I think you don't want to model this, do you, Paul? No, you do. Mario was modeling this earlier, but this is just one of the projects that really got a lot of talk in our booth. And just something really beautiful and inspiring, just doing a great apron and putting these together and taking a little bit of that crochet doily to kind of throw in there to give it that little salvage remnant and adding little buttons on there. This is the kind of projects that I think engage a whole different audience that is not wanting to maybe invest their time into understanding this, but looking at this and saying, I can do that, I want to make that, which I think is, that's what I find really fascinating about this industry in general, is that the crossover from papercraft to quilting is really not that different. It's just a whole different audience that thinks in a totally different way. You think in fiber and textile and weight, and you're very tactile, where for us it's about paint and paper and all that. But when the worlds combine, it's amazing. This is a project that I wanted done at the last market, which is a journal cover. I love the idea. There's a lot of people that not only have their own journals, but art journaling in the paper world is huge. And so to kind of merge those two by showing them how they can take pieces of fabric, Rochelle made this one as well, but just to use that as a journal cover, I think is really cool. I think I could do this. It probably wouldn't fit the book initially, but I have scissors and I can sew it again. It doesn't matter, I could still do that. But that's really, I think, the inspiration for the line itself. That being said, I want to talk about one of the projects that really got a lot of hype. So I'm going to pass through a couple of slides, because I think I have it up here. You should be able to see it at the end. I love that too, the wallet. It's cute, huh? Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool, it's cute, it's good. So when we were at market, and of course, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know what the term cathedral window meant. I learned. But this project was in our Coates booth. This project was in the Sizzix booth. And people were coming by and they're like, that cathedral window is beautiful. And I'm like, awesome. And there were a lot of cool windows above that convention, but I said to Paula, I'm like, Paula, what is cathedral window? She's like, this. I'm like, well, that's just a die cut. She's like, no, no, no. In the fabric world, it's very complex when you're doing it, and of course you're like, that's easy. But when I looked at it, and I Googled it, I looked it up, I was like, that is not easy. But this is really done with a die. This is a die that I designed for the papercraft world that literally cuts this entire section. And it's a steel rule die, so it can cut through layers of fabric and oomph and all of these things, and that's really how this was done. And I challenged Rochelle because she was making samples for market. I'm like, can you do anything with these dies? These dies are called frameworks that I designed for Sizzix, and they are a steel rule die that cuts a frame of a repeat pattern. So whether it's this pattern, or whether it's a chevron, or a honeycomb, quatrefoils, there's all sorts of cool things, and it's just a strip. It only cuts a strip of this, but by taking something like this, you can take this section and cut 3 of those strips, and there you go. Now you can connect these. So when you look at, thank you, when you look at a project like this is really just a bunch of these repeated. And if you look close, you'll see all the seams, you'll see the individual ones, but it's going to take some thought. And this is something that I think when Rochelle did, I know she doesn't want to talk, but I'm going to talk about her. She's like, please don't make me speak. You don't have to speak. I have no problem talking, obviously, I'm going to shut up. But this happens to fit the top shop, which is a bottle cap fabric that we did. That was just, it just happened to work. That the circular shape of that bottle cap fabric fits right under the shape of that die. So you can see what do we have? You can see it in the strip, but I don't know if we have a big piece. If you come by the booth, we'll show you a big piece. Do you have a piece in there? Awesome. So this was really the fabric itself. And it's just a bunch of vintage bottle caps on the fabric. But when you lay this die, it lays right over the entire thing, so you're not cutting out anything. It's just going right over the base. And to me, that is the magic of integrating those two worlds. That's what I love, because I didn't know that that was something. Now I do. So of course I'm, asking Linda, I'm like, so what are some other cool shapes that we can do? Because that'd be pretty fascinating. But I just love that there is an exciting or a new way to do something that is very traditional in a different sense. And the fact that it's very small and very detailed and very intricate, again, as a DIYer, I can do that. I can take fabric, I can stick it on foam, which if you don't know what that is, it's from Coates. It's this adhesive back felty foam stuff that gives that piece some edge, and that's really what went all the way around here. But I can do that. I can place that down. I can sew those straight lines. Mine aren't going to look as nice as Rochelle's. I probably won't remember to do the back stitch or to turn. I'll have a lot of threads, but I can do it, and that's really what I hope is the appeal that you have with your customers, that they can look at the fabric and they can say, that's cool, I want to make that. And because it is that perfectly imperfect collection, I think they'll really have fun kind of mixing and matching these patterns that create something really amazing. So,
is this a pattern now? Do you have a pattern available to make that?
as a matter of fact, not only do we have a pattern, but Rochelle wrote up the instruction sheets, and we're on your way out going to give everyone a kit that includes this die, the fabric to make it, and the instruction sheet and the foam, so you can go back and you can put it, because you need to, right? When you see that, you see that, you're going to engage. So yeah, of course. So on your way out, you'll have that kit, and it's very cool. I mean, you can see it's 6 steps. That's it. It's just done. It's peel and stick and die cut, and off you go. And I think that hopefully, anytime you can bring something new into the mix, anytime you can engage them in a different way, I truly believe that that's how you grow the business. Sustaining the business is awesome. Keeping new stuff in, that's going to keep people kind of in and out. But how do you grow that? How do you get them to use what they buy and use it in a different way? That's always my challenge as a designer in the industry. I always love the fact that certainly I want them to buy what I design, but more importantly, I want them to use it. Because if they use it, they're going to be inspired to come back and buy more. And they're going to want to come to your place because you're going to give them that inspiration to be like, what other ideas did you bring back? I mean, I remember even going to the CHA. Whenever we would come back from CHA, our customers would be like, what did you see cool? And I hope you engage with your customers that very same way. I mean, they know you're here. They know you're going to see amazing things on that floor, and so I hope you take the time to really not only do the business side of it, but capture the visual inspiration that is down there to engage your customers into trying something. So, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.